Again, Big U, his son Baby Huey, or Big Huey, right? He was assassinated last night on Halloween out there in LA.
Los Angeles streets erupted in disbelief after Big U's son, Jabari Henley, was ruthlessly gunned down on Halloween night. But what unfolded next took the chaos to another level. Nipsey's crew instantly began mocking Big U's loss online, igniting what looked like a war waiting to explode. And trust me, this situation goes way deeper than what's visible on the surface. Stay locked in. We're uncovering the full story. Let's break it all down. A Halloween nightmare in the heart of the trenches. On a night meant for candy runs, laughter, and the echo of trick-or-treating, the city of Los Angeles, especially South Central, was blindsided by breaking news that sent shockwaves through every block from Crenshaw to Compton, shaking the entire hip-hop world to its core. We're talking about a tragedy that went far beyond another statistic in the streets. This event was about to pull the curtain back on years of grime, grudges, and grief that have been simmering in the culture since 2019. The killing of Jabari Baby Wee Henley wasn't some random act of violence. It was a spark that would set off one of the most ruthless digital firestorms the game had ever seen, dragging up old wounds and turning social media into a battleground with zero mercy. At around 11:11 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Halloween night, October 31st, 2025, lapped officers from the 77th Street Division received a call reporting gunfire near South Figueroa Street and West 69th Street. What happened at that corner would go down as one of the most talked about shootings of the entire year. Now, if you really know South LA, then you already know about the Vermont Slauson section. It's been a pressure point forever, where the blocks never sleep and the tension between sets has been cooking for decades. The scene of the crime? A small smoke shop called Fig & 69 Smoke Spot, tucked between liquor stores, auto shops, and vacant lots, right inside territory long held down by the rolling 60s neighborhood Crips. Word on the street says the shop itself wasn't officially gang-tied, it just sat inside the zone. You get the picture. The whole situation unfolded like something ripped straight from a movie script, except this wasn't Hollywood, this was real life and real bullets flying. Witnesses on the scene included 2 customers leaving the shop and a nearby food truck vendor hustling for the night. All 3 described seeing a dark-colored sedan, possibly a Toyota Camry or a Honda Accord, pull up to the curb. Standing about 6 feet 1 inch and weighing roughly 210 pounds, Jabari Henley walked over from the sidewalk and started conversing with whoever sat inside through the passenger window. What followed next happened in a flash, executed with precision that made it clear this wasn't any random robbery or street scuffle. Before anyone could even react, the block exploded with gunfire. That sharp, echoing pop 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 that makes everyone dive for cover.
And I want to talk about, Big U. His son was assassinated last night out there in LA. Absolutely nasty work, man. Again, Big U, his son Baby Huey, or Big Huey, right? He was assassinated last night on Halloween out there in LA.
Now, the details surrounding this shooting are downright chilling. The attackers fired off at least 7 rounds, and according to investigators, the weapon used was likely a semi-automatic. The shell casings recovered on scene suggested it was either 9mm or a .40 caliber piece. Jabari was struck 4 times. 2 shots hit his torso, 1 pierced his upper chest, another tore through his stomach, along with 1 in his left arm and another in his thigh. He collapsed instantly on the pavement right in front of the shop entrance, clutching his side as the sedan sped off north on Figueroa, then made a sharp right onto 68th Street, vanishing into the dark Los Angeles night like a ghost. Paramedics and the fire department arrived fast, but sometimes, fast just isn't fast enough. LFD Station 46 pulled up at 11:14 p.m. and found Jabari barely hanging on, gasping with that agonal breathing, his body fighting for life after losing massive amounts of blood. They moved in full emergency mode, performing chest compressions, pumping epinephrine through the 4, running through every life-saving measure they had. But by 11:28 p.m., just 14 minutes later, his pulse was gone. Jabari Baby Wee Henley was pronounced dead at the scene. Just like that, the LA County Coroner's Office conducted the autopsy on November 1st, logging it as case number 20250044512. The official cause of death, multiple gunshot wounds. The fatal blows resulted in hemorrhagic shock and a torn left pulmonary artery. Toxicology came back completely clean. No alcohol, no drugs, nothing in his system that would have had him slipping. The ruling was clear-cut. Homicide, plain and simple. But the question remains, who exactly was Jabari Baby Wee Henley? That's the question that needs to be asked, because to understand why his death set off such a chain reaction, you have to understand the man behind the name. Born on March 15, 1991, in Inglewood, Los Angeles County for those not familiar, Jabari wasn't chasing fame like his father, Eugene Big U Henley. He kept to himself, maintained a low profile, but still carried a deep love for the culture. Under the alias Baby Wee, he dropped a few songs, including a 2019 track titled and featuring Hood Rich Pablo Juan, with production by Kenny Beats, racking up around 150,000 streams on Spotify. His music hit home. Raw stories about survival, family, and loyalty. And knowing how his life ended, those lyrics hit even harder now. But truth be told, music was more of a passion project for Jabari than a full-time hustle. Friends close to him said he worked as a warehouse supervisor at a logistics company out in Compton, providing for his 10-year-old daughter and making it known that he wasn't out there chasing street life. They said he stayed out the way. That's a talk for keeping your head low and steering clear of trouble that might come with your family name. And that part is crucial, because Jabari embodied what many young brothers in South LA are striving toward: staying rooted in your background while building a better life that doesn't revolve around gangs or neighborhood wars. People who knew him personally spoke with respect about his calm energy and how solidly he carried himself.
I mean, it is what it is as far as this is how the streets go, but Baby Huey, I ain't gonna hold you. Solid dude. Like, as young as he was, if you actually met him, he actually seemed way older. Kid was solid, like straight, solid dude. Now some of y'all be, well, he was in the street. He didn't operate like that. He wasn't operating out here like no goofy. Let me just flat out put that out there.
Jabari left behind 3 siblings, each carving out their own path. His brother, Diane Henley, age 28 and starting linebacker for the Los Angeles Chargers, took to Instagram on November 1st with a post that read, "My heart is shattered. Rest easy, bro. We got the fam." Another brother, Michael Henley, 32, works as a barber in Hawthorne, while his sister, Shirish Henley, 30, serves as a nurse out in Long Beach. The whole family was focused on growth, each moving forward in their own lane, trying to elevate. But what makes this story even more devastating is where Jabari's father was when the news hit. Eugene Big U Henley, 58 years old, learned that his son had been murdered while he was locked inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles, where he's been held without bail since March 2025 after federal agents hit him with a sweeping 43-count RICO indictment. The charges were heavy. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California accused Big U of orchestrating a criminal enterprise linked to the Rolling 60s Crips, with allegations ranging from extortion and human trafficking to bank fraud and even a murder-for-hire plot involving a Vegas rapper. The way Big U received the news shows just how cold the prison system can be. Around 1:30 a.m. on November 1st, his co-defendant, Loose Cannon, a music executive also wrapped up in the same case, heard through a contraband phone from someone on the outside. He had to break the news to Big U quietly, during lights out, in a hushed conversation no parent should ever have to hear. Later, Cannon spoke to TMZ and Hot New Hip Hop, describing the moment Big U found out. He said, "Big U just froze. He didn't say a word at first, tears streaming, fists clenched. Then he whispered, 'Not my boy, not like this.' It was the raw heartbreak of a father who couldn't even be there to hold his son one last time. We're both shattered," Cannon added. "Heartbroken doesn't even cover it. We'll get through this together, even from in here. God doesn't make mistakes, it's a test, but we'll rise." His attempt to find meaning in a senseless loss spoke volumes. As of November 2nd, 2025, the investigation remains active with no arrests yet made. LAPD's South Bureau Homicide Division continues to pursue leads, pulling footage from 12 separate surveillance cameras across nearby businesses. On November 1st, a $50,000 reward was announced through the citywide Crime Stoppers program, urging anyone with information to come forward. But what really changed the story's tone came in the hours that followed, when the internet took over. What happened online after Jabari's death exposed just how dark things can get when grief, conspiracies, and old beef collide head-on. Within just 2 hours of the first police scanner alerts hitting the web around 11:45 p.m. on October 31st, chaos erupted across every platform imaginable. News of Jabari Henley's killing didn't just circulate around the hood or the city, it went viral worldwide. And with that came a storm of speculation, reckless theories, and cruel mockery that revealed the ugliest side of online culture, and the deep wounds the hip-hop world still carries after losing Nipsey Hussle. What spread across the timeline wasn't sympathy or demands for justice. Instead, it was darker, people calling it karma, divine payback, and even celebrating a young father's death because of whispers tied to his dad. Within just 90 minutes of the first reports dropping, the narrative spiraled out of control, instantly linking Jabari's murder to long-standing conspiracy theories about Big U's alleged connection to Nipsey Hussle's assassination on March 31st, 2019. On X, that's Twitter now, mentions of Big U's son skyrocketed from 2,500 posts at midnight to over 15,000 by 6 a.m. on November 1st, with hashtags like #CostBigHenley and #BabyWe trending across Los Angeles. The speed of it all was insane, a clear reminder of how social media has turned tragedy into instant content, rumor into perceived truth, and human pain into entertainment for millions watching behind screens. TikTok exploded overnight with countless uploads, including some graphic clips showing paramedics performing CPR on Jabari, posted from anonymous accounts that amassed over 3.2 million views by noon on November 1st. Instagram Reels from Nipsey Hussle tribute pages began circulating similar footage, blending mourning for Nipsey with slickly edited accusations aimed at Big U combined. Those clips racked up more than 25 million impressions worldwide. The algorithm devoured it, feeding users a recycled narrative that had been simmering under the surface for years, just waiting for the right spark to reignite it. Most of the disrespect was disguised under talk of karma or Nipsey's spirit getting revenge, all rooted in the same old accusations that have haunted Big U since 2019. Theories claiming that Big U vouched for Eric Holder Jr., the Rolling 60s member convicted in 2022 for Nipsey's murder, or that Big U somehow profited off Nip's death through his unique music label had already been debunked during Holder's trial, where Big U's name was never once mentioned in court transcripts. But in both the streets and the digital world, facts never move as fast as rumors. Old lies got new life as vintage clips resurfaced, now injected with fresh energy. A 2021 interview with Charleston White resurfaced on November 1st, pulling over 11,000 likes and nearly 500 reposts. In that clip, Charleston repeated wild, unproven claims about what supposedly happened with Nipsey's murder and Big U's alleged role in it all.
Homie, they killed Nip too. Let's not forget, homie, they killed Nipsey Hussle. Eric Holder was not a lone actor in that. If you go back and follow the details, Nip and Big U got into it. Big U hit Nip Daddy across the head with a bat. His brother had to come out and shoot the gun. Hey, y'all get out. Say, Nip, come on, we finna come beat you. Because I don't want to pay that $20,000.
Loose Cannon's old podcast rant from early 2025, recorded before he caught his own case, got reposted too, racking up 6,000 likes. In that episode, he accused Big U of signing Nipsey to a shady contract and then letting betrayal creep in from within. The irony didn't go unnoticed. Cannon, the same man who'd later be forced to tell Big U that his son had been killed, was the one who had stirred up those narratives months earlier. Not long after, Brick Baby addressed it directly in an interview, calling out how absurd Cannon's version of events really was, and pointing out how people love twisting old stories to fit their own agendas.
All this is nonsense. Me and Big U even had a conversation about it. And I said, man, I'm sorry you're getting dragged into this fake storyline. Not that I have anything to do with it, because I've never interviewed Loose Cannon or anything else like that. But I just as someone I'm cool with, I said, I'm sorry that this is the story that's going out and people are running with it, because I remember every conversation I've ever had with Big U, he's always spoken positively about Nipsey. Every time. Our interview, nothing negative about Nipsey. Personal conversations, nothing negative about Nipsey, ever.
Then came Whack 100's Instagram Live from March 2025, where he claimed that Big U and Nipsey once got into a physical altercation back in 2017. A fight he said supposedly led to Black Sam being arrested. That clip resurfaced and exploded online, generating over 50,000 interactions in less than a day. None of this was new information. It was just old dirt being dug up again. Long-dead rumors were being revived, all because social media thrives on chaos, conflict, and controversy. And the examples of what people posted in those first few hours after Jabari's death show exactly how fast empathy can die online. At 12:07 a.m. on November 1st, one user uploaded a shaky video from the crime scene with a caption, "Retaliation for Big U's alleged Nipsey setup. Street war never ends." That post pulled in 19 likes and 5 reposts. By 1:46 a.m., another account shared the CPR clip with a caption that read, "Comments full of Nipsey's spirit and sins of the father. We've lost compassion. Death is entertainment." That one got 95 likes. But by 6:47 a.m., the tone had turned venomous. A post reading, "LA let Big U walk after killing your legend Nipsey, Trash City," drew 2,400 likes. Then at 12:57 p.m., someone dropped a YouTube link titled "Proof Big U Killed Nipsey and His Son's Best Friend," pulling in 417 views within hours. When you break those numbers down, the scale of this digital mob becomes impossible to ignore. Grief transformed into content, tragedy twisted into trending fuel. Out of roughly 8,000 analyzed posts between November 1st and 2nd, about 62% mentioned Nippy through hashtags like #NippyKarma, which surfaced more than 4,000 times. Only 28% expressed neutral condolences, while a mere 10% called out the mockery. Eventually, platforms began cracking down on the most toxic content. X suspended 15 accounts for doxing on November 1st. TikTok demonetized 200 videos showing graphic clips, and Instagram flagged 50 reels for violating hate speech policies. But beyond moderation, what this digital spectacle really exposed was how deeply our culture has drifted from the meaning of grief, justice, and karma itself. The narrative spreading online had no verified link between Jabari's death and anything that happened back in 2019. It was emotional projection, fueled by unresolved trauma from Nipsey Hussle's murder. For many still hurting from his loss, Big U had become the symbolic villain, and Jabari's tragedy was twisted into some kind of cosmic revenge story. Yet not everyone embraced that narrative. People tied to Nipsey's estate tried to distance themselves from the chaos. Black Sam, posting through the Marathon Records Instagram on November 1st, wrote, Pain multiplies pain. Honor NIP with peace. Not this. A few voices in hip-hop echoed the sentiment, calling out what they saw as a shocking loss of empathy and humanity online. Those who actually knew Big U personally stepped up to defend him, rejecting what they recognized as baseless rumors being weaponized against a grieving father behind bars.
I feel like they had whatever differences they had when Nip was alive and they got over that shit. I've been around for a minute, so I don't feel like that even carried on to, you know what I mean? Like, that's a crazy, just imagine you raising this young dude, y'all fall out about some business stuff.
Here's the reality that kept getting lost in the noise. Eric Holder Jr., the man convicted of Nipsey Hussle's murder, was sentenced to 60 years to life in 2022. And throughout that entire trial, Big U's name never appeared. Not in call logs. Not in witness statements. Not once in the official transcripts. As one legal analyst noted while breaking down these conspiracy theories, if there was even a shred of evidence connecting Big U to a murder-for-hire scheme, prosecutors would have put it front and center during Holder's case. But they didn't, because it simply didn't exist.
Big U's name never came up in the trial.
Not a call log, not a
nothing. Not a nothing. You would think that in a case this serious where you're facing life in prison, if it really was a murder for hire, like people are trying to say it is, which is nonsense, that person would probably come forward to try to get their time.
Still, the online storm didn't stay online. Lapt reported a 22% jump in anonymous Crime Stoppers tips, roughly 150 calls between November 1st and 2nd, many referencing old neighborhood conflicts. The backlash became a cycle of pain, grief over Nippy being twisted into anger toward an unrelated killing, deepening division in a community still trying to heal from 2019. As detectives continued investigating Jabari's murder, the noise from social media risked overshadowing what truly mattered, finding justice for a young father whose life was cut short in the same streets he'd been trying to escape. To grasp what this tragedy, and the backlash, really mean, we have to rewind. To the roots. To the story of how Nipsey Hussle and Big U's connection evolved, fractured, and became a distorted legend online. A history reshaped by rumor, speculation, and the internet's obsession with turning complex human bonds into black and white tales of heroes and villains. The truth, as always, is much more layered than what TikTok edits and Twitter threads want you to believe. That history between Hermia's Nipsey Hussle Askedom and Eugene Big U Henley began in the mid-2000s, shortly after Big U was paroled in 2004. He started organizing peace talks between Crips and Bloods through his non-profit, the Community Intervention Alliance, the CIA, founded in 2005. A young Nipsey, then around 20 and affiliated with the Rolling 60s, began showing up at those informal meetings in Crenshaw. Big U saw something in him, what he described as a next-gen leader who could bridge the gap between old heads and the youth coming up. In February 2009, Nipsey signed a 10-year management deal with Big U's own Nick music label, which included a 10% management fee and a 25% publishing share. Those terms were typical for that era, but later resurfaced as controversial in 2023 when fans circulated a petition calling them exploitative. Still, at the time, their partnership was productive and community-focused. They co-hosted Unity in the community at Lymet Park in 2010, drawing nearly 800 people. Big U helped mediate truces between the Rolling 60s and the Hoovers, while Nipsey performed on stage. In 2012, both contributed $5,000 each to CIA youth programs, and Nipsey told XXL magazine, "Big U set saved lives on my block." Big U once said, he made the music that backed the message. And for a while, that message was unity. Between 2016 and 2018, their partnership hit its peak. Together they launched the Block by Block series, live community panels tackling gentrification and youth violence that drew over 4,000 attendees in total. Behind the scenes, Big U was quietly giving A&R feedback on Nipsey's Victory Lap album, even helping connect key features like Kendrick Lamar. Nipsey showed appreciation in 2018, donating $100,000 to the Community Intervention Alliance, proof that their bond wasn't just business, it was rooted in building something real for South Central. But as Nipsey's fame skyrocketed and his business empire expanded, quiet tensions started creeping in. By late 2018, whispers of a rift circulated. Nipsey wanted out of his management deal early, citing creative control, and went on to launch the Marathon clothing store independently that August. Big U still pulled up to support the grand opening, but later posted something cryptic on X, "Loyalty tests all." Soon after, photos surfaced showing Eric Holder at that same event standing in the crowd near Big U, images that would later be twisted into dark insinuations after Nipsey's death. When Nipsey Hussle was gunned down on March 31st, 2019, Big U's reaction was immediate and public. Just 2 days later, on April 2nd, Big U helped organize a unity march that drew nearly 5,000 people from rival gangs who called a temporary truce in Nipsey's honor. He also delivered a heartfelt eulogy at the memorial service, calling Nipsey "my son in spirit." His organization, the CIA, managed logistics for the service and community events that followed. Together, they raised over $200,000 for local youth programs. For those who witnessed it firsthand, Big U's grief was raw and genuine. His actions reflected a man trying to turn tragedy into progress. But in the years that followed, rumors metastasized. By mid-2020, a viral thread on X accused Big U of vouching for Eric Holder. That post alone racked up over 50,000 engagements. In August 2020, Big U went on Vlad TV to confront the accusations directly, stating, "I built peace with NIP, I didn't break it." Yet in the age of algorithms and outrage, truth rarely travels as fast as controversy. And you could hear the exhaustion in his voice every time he tried to set the record straight.
When Nipsey died, right? When Nipsey got killed, we probably had about 300, 375, 400 kids that was in our program. And I had the travel basketball team. We had a contract with Adidas that was worth about $3 million that Kanye West gave us.
Wow.
And then I had like a bunch of other different contracts. And for a nonprofit, we were really thriving. Then Nipsey gets killed. Well, after Nipsey get killed, then the rumor goes out, Big U had something to do. We lost everything.
You lost all those?
Everyone, I tell you everything.
Wow.
Kanye stopped answering the phone. Adidas stopped answering the
What?
phone. And I ended up almost going dead broke because we already committed to this.
The fallout went far beyond lost income. It was about legacy, decades of work to build peace and credibility in a city scarred by violence, now being erased in real time. By 2023, social media sentiment analysis showed that positive mentions linking Nipsey and Big U had dropped from 80% in 2018 to just 35%. Over 5,000 posts helped drive that decline, spreading baseless rumors that stuck harder than facts. Then, in March 2025, everything collapsed. Big U was arrested and hit with a 43-count federal RICO indictment. The charges were sweeping: accusations of leading a criminal enterprise tied to the Rolling 60s, extorting local businesses, human trafficking through his label Unique Music, bank fraud involving $1.2 million in COVID-19 relief loans, and even orchestrating a 2021 Las Vegas murder over a diss track. Big U pleaded not guilty and has chosen to represent himself after his attorney withdrew in September 2025. His trial is set for May 2026. And it's against this backdrop, a man behind bars, fighting for his life and his name, that his son, Jabari Henley, was gunned down in South Los Angeles. The cruelty of that timing is impossible to ignore. A father already stripped of his freedom, already branded guilty by the internet, now forced to mourn the murder of his only son from a federal cell, while social media mocked it as karma. As of November 2nd, 2025, LAPD's investigation into Jabari's death remains open. Detectives have reviewed 12 surveillance videos and are awaiting final ballistics and toxicology results expected November 5th. Two persons of interest from Inglewood, neither tied to the Rolling 60s, were detained on November 1st but released after their alibis checked out. Forensic DNA recovered from the sedan's door handle yielded a partial match to a Hoover affiliate, leading investigators to suspect a spillover retaliation incident, not the cosmic payback story being pushed online. What this tragedy ultimately exposes is how grief, justice, and truth are now filtered through the chaos of social media, where speculation spreads faster than facts and pain becomes content. The Henley family, already reeling from Big U's incarceration and the RICO fallout that froze their Hyde Park assets, is now quietly preparing Jabari's memorial, tentatively scheduled for November 8th. Thank you for watching. If you found this story powerful, click one of the videos on your screen to continue exploring the untold realities behind hip-hop's most misunderstood moments.